just want to win. I think, however it happened, however the conversation, relationship, whatever it may be, try to be professional and be a part of winning. Simple as that. I left all that, all my baggage at the door this summer. Once we changed coaches and new staff came in, I was committed to whatever it takes. So that's what y'all see now.
Since returning to Los Angeles, the D'Angelo Russell experience has been one that has been extremely volatile. One moment he seems like an irreplaceable piece to a team that looks like it just might have a run in it, and then the next moment he's looking like somebody that might get traded before they're allowed back on the team bus. But before we continue, guys, we are close to reaching 300,000 subscribers. Reaching something like this has always been a dream of mine, so it would mean a lot if you guys could subscribe and help me reach that goal. To get back to the content, what happened during that 2022-2023 season would be a great example of that roller coaster of an experience that I was just speaking about. After getting traded to the Lakers, D'Angelo Russell would average 17.4 points and 6.1 assists, while shooting 48.4% from the field and 41.4% from three. There's no underselling what he did for the team that season. He played a large role in the team turning its season around, only for what he did to be forgotten because of an abysmal series against the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. 6.3 points, 32.3% from the field, 13.3% from three, and a benching. His series against the Nuggets was a disaster that I thought would for sure run him out of Los Angeles. Sure, the Lakers would lose this series as a team, but with D'Lo's horrible performance ahead of contract negotiations, I thought that he'd be the biggest loser of them all. But in the offseason, the Lakers would surprisingly keep D'Lo, re-signing him to a 2-year, $37 million deal. Though this would be a very tradable contract for the Lakers, it was still one that would give D'Lo another shot at redemption in Los Angeles. Unironically, the December following that contract, D'Lo would go ice cold. And then, when it would seem like he was finally on the verge of being traded, he would only get hotter the closer that we got to the trade deadline. He'd look to carry this momentum into the postseason where the Lakers would face off with the Nuggets again. But old habits die hard. In the first round against the Nuggets, he'd have a game where he would literally not score the basketball. Game 3. 0 points on 0 of 7 from the field and 0 of 6 from 3. It was just a nasty game from D'Lo, with him posting 14.2 points on 38.4% from the field and 31.8% from three for the series. His overall series numbers would look much better than the ones from the game that I just referenced, but when you compile his poor shooting with his dreadful effort and defense, it was yet another abysmal series for D'Lo. With the Darvin Ham-led Lakers falling to the Denver Nuggets in 5 games, Darvin Ham would be fresh out of excuses. Last year's Lakers were far from a complete product, but even with as unfinished of a product as they were, there was still no reason for them to finish the season the way that they did. Holding multiple big leads against the Nuggets, last year's Lakers had every chance to turn their matchup against the Nuggets into an actual series, but they didn't. Instead, they'd go out about as sad as I've seen them go out in the LeBron era, which is saying a lot. Even former Nugget Kentavious Caldwell-Pope would admit that the Lakers should have beaten the Nuggets in last year's playoffs. After the series, everybody knew that Darvin Ham was about to get fired, including Darvin Ham. With Darvin Ham knowing that his firing was inevitable, he wouldn't hold back when addressing the criticism that he faced with his lineup decisions. He'd say that common sense goes out the window when people talk about my job, and while so much of what goes into your lineup is predicated on health and performance, if you're a coach and you have a starter who is constantly playing like garbage, then what are you going to do? To me, it was obvious that D'Angelo Russell was on his mind when he said this, but it would be D'Lo who would have the last laugh, as Ham's disaster class of coaching would overshadow D'Lo's inconsistency. Shortly after the series, Ham would get fired. Ham's firing, along with the hiring of JJ Redick, would breathe new life into D'Angelo Russell. In fact, JJ Redick would say that D'Lo was the player that he had probably spoken the most with this summer. JJ would praise D'Lo's energy and mindset, and even said that he and him talked about how he could put him in position to have a career year. Not only is D'Lo not having a career year, he's having his worst season yet. So far, his averages and efficiency have been close to what he had as a rookie. This year, he has averaged 12.7 points on 40% from the field and 30.8% from 3. Obviously, his offensive struggles have hurt the Lakers, as D'Lo is somebody who has had the potential to be an X factor for this Lakers team that desperately needs one. Anthony Davis has been having an MVP level season, dominating on both sides of the ball. On a per game basis, he's averaging 32.4 points, 11.3 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 2 blocks, and 1.4 steals. Meanwhile, LeBron James is nearing the end of his career, but he's looked fantastic too, still showing that there's a lot of gas left in that tank. In the Lakers' first game against the Grizzlies this season, with no AD, he would drop 39 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists, as the Lakers would get routed, losing to the banged up Grizzlies by 17 points. This same game, the same guy who we've said has the potential to be an X factor for this team, that guy would get pulled because of his lack of level of compete and attention to detail. Those are JJ Redick's words, not mine.
D'Lo only played 21 minutes tonight. What did you see there? Why did you make the decision in the second half to go away from him?
Again, just level of compete, attention to detail. Some of the things we I've talked with him about for a couple of weeks, and at times he's been really good with that stuff, and other times it's just reverting back to certain habits. But it wasn't like a punishment. It just felt like for us to have a chance to win this game, that was the route we wanted to take.
Now let's go ahead and take a look at the end of the sequence that got D'Angelo Russell pulled. Here, D'Lo loses his man and then doesn't even make the effort to follow him. You can't tell me right here that he wasn't trying to get memed, because what in the world is he doing? Alright, let's go to the other end of the floor. On the other end of the floor, he'd call his own number against former Lakers big Jay Huff. Huff, as you guys may or may not know, stands at 7'1" and is a really good shot blocker. If you're going to shoot over this guy, you're going to have to create some space. D'Lo creates no space at all, and then just decides to let it go, and that doesn't go so well. Surprise, surprise, after creating no space, he wasn't able to get a shot up over the guy with the 7'5" wingspan. So Huff gets the block, and that block leads to a break where yet again D'Angelo Russell is absolutely lost, leaving Reeves out to dry. When D'Lo gets blocked, instead of sprinting back to cover Huff in the corner, he oddly chooses to ride the back of the ball handler. This leaves Reeves with a decision to make. He opts to not give up the dunk, and that results in a Huff deep ball. My favorite part about this whole sequence was JJ Redick's reaction to it. You can just tell that my man absolutely can't believe what he's gotten himself into. JJ could have been at home podcasting and focusing on content like me, but instead he's crashing out coaching one of the most prestigious franchises in all of sports. Yeah, who am I kidding? This basketball maniac JJ is loving every second of this. And if anybody is up for the challenge of figuring out this whole D'Angelo Russell and the Lakers thing, it's going to be him. But that's part of the problem. While there is a chance that JJ is exactly what D'Lo needs, his situation shouldn't need fixing at this stage of his career. It's like, how many times do we have to see the same story before we accept reality? D'Lo is what he is right now. He's somebody who is a supremely talented player that can go off on any given moment for any stretch of time, but he's also somebody that doesn't play with any defensive consistency and is offensively liable to cool down when the lights are the brightest. If D'Lo does want to remain in Los Angeles, let's hope that he locks in on both sides of the ball, because it's clear that JJ Redick isn't going to be putting up with any nonsense. The games have to officially be over for D'Lo. As things stand though, D'Lo's slow start has been just one of the Lakers' many problems. Guys, we're going to discuss these problems in my next Lakers video, so don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss that video, or any of my other videos for that matter. But yeah, when JJ is saying that an ancient LeBron James played the hardest on your team, your problems are definitely bigger than D'Angelo Russell. So the following game against the 76ers, AD would return and D'Lo would find himself out of the starting lineup, but not for Anthony Davis, for Cam Reddish. It was a classic defense for offense benching, and naturally, this benching along with AD's return resulted in D'Lo and the Lakers looking much better than they did against the Grizzlies. 18 points on 7 of 11 from the field and 2 of 4 from 3 while you drop 3 dimes isn't a bad game at all for D'Lo. Lakers fans, did this performance restore your faith in D'Lo, or are you still looking to trade him? And if you're one of those fans who wants to trade him, what exactly are you looking to get back for him? Let's look at some trades that were cooked up by Jacob Root of the Silver Screen and Roll, just so that you guys could get some ideas. The first one is D'Lo, JHS, and a 2029 first round pick for Dorian Finney-Smith, somebody that the Lakers have been interested in for some time. I'm all for the Lakers buying low on a 3-and-D player like DFS when they desperately need more defense, but if they traded for him, then I'd hope that he comes in shooting the ball better than he is right now. So the next trade is D'Lo, JHS, a 2029 first round pick, and a 2031 first round pick for Jordan Clarkson and Walker Kessler. I'm just going to save my opinion on this one because we have a full video on a potential Kessler trade coming soon. The final one is D'Angelo Russell, Gabe Vincent, Maxwell Lewis, and a 2029 first round pick for Jeremy Grant and Duop Reith. A versatile two-way monster like Jeremy Grant taking D'Angelo Russell's old spot in the starting lineup would be crazy. Even if it's not the Lakers, Jeremy Grant is going to make some potential contender very happy very soon, especially if he goes for just one first round pick. Do you guys like any of these trades, or do you have any better ones? If you do, let me know down in the comments below. Anyways guys, there's some more going on in the basketball world right now that I need to be covering. Clicking the video on the screen right now and using code COOP for Underdog are both great ways to support this channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.